Joining us now, a longtime friend of the show, Canuck ambassador, a member of the board of directors, Canucks alumni, and of course, former teammate of Gino Odjick. It is Kirk McLean back here with Sekeres and Price. Kirk, first and foremost, condolences to you and all the Canucks alumni and ex-teammates of Gino.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate that. It was certainly a sad day yesterday when we got the phone call, or I got the phone call.
By all accounts, the reason that we all love him and media fans, same reason that you love him, right? I mean, he was just a different cat in the best of ways.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, super loving, super caring. For the media or the public, very generous with his time and very easy to talk to, willing to talk to, fun-loving. Obviously, as a teammate, he brought all that to the table, along with what we knew he could do out on the ice physically, which brought a lot of ease to his teammates. But what I was most proud about playing with Gino is how he worked on his game, especially when he hooked up with Pavel and, was a big influence as far as his hockey ability and be able to work on his game, staying after practice, working on a shot, working on different things. And, he was rewarded for that work ethic and statistically in 93, 94-ish, where 15, 16 goals he scored. And he was definitely not a liability out on the ice that a lot of people probably thought back in the day. He was very proud of what he did and did it with a passion and did it the best. But he also respected the other side of the game and wanted to be as much help in the defensive zone or the offensive zone as he could whenever he was out there, rather than just looking to stir it up.
Kirk, you had been with the team a couple of years when Gino made his debut as a rookie. What were your original impressions of this guy when he walks in the dressing room?
Well, you hear rumors, obviously, going into training camp, whether we needed a new enforcer / physical player. And we heard about this fellow coming out of the Quebec Hockey League, Gino Odjick, that was one tough customer, and he didn't disappoint right off the bat. He was very physical in training camp, in the scrimmages, and then of course on into the exhibition games, and regular season games when he cracked the lineup as a regular member.
So much of what he did with a smile. Did you?
He did. We talk a lot about players of his role. That's the toughest thing to do, I think, in pro sports in general. Having to do that game in, game out, knowing what's up against you the night before, trying to erase that out of your mind, but yet trying to psych yourself up for the next night because something may happen, not just once, but back then maybe 3 times, either with the same person or 2 other guys that were coming as well. And how do you not respect and love a teammate that went through that? I wouldn't be able to do that. That's for sure. And
did you ever find yourself chuckling, like at the other end of the ice while he was doing his thing?
You chuckle a little bit, but you feel for those guys too.
Right.
You don't want
for sure.
them to get hurt. You're hoping that the person comes out on top as far as the decision, if you will, because it certainly gives the team a boost and the fans a boost. But in general, even if he didn't win, which wasn't very often, which was often, but or not often, was a draw or a win, it still gave you a boost. But he would go out and throw a big hit. He didn't even have to get into fisticuffs or anything like that. But he understood and he learned and he studied it. He really did. I mean, he became a technical fighter, if you will. He really improved on that as far as just coming out and being wild. He worked on that, and he knew his opponents and their I guess their strengths and their weaknesses. But he respected them, and even after games, you see the outpouring now on social media. A lot of his combatants that he went up against, they totally respected him, and that's the love of the game, and there's nothing more I can say about the guy. He was just an incredible human being.
Kirk, you mentioned the him and Pavel. They had a great friendship, great affection between the two of them. Tell us, how did that odd couple get connected, and what was it like observing the two of them?
It just kind of morphed. I don't think everybody kind of watched it happen. It just, I think they just were drawn to each other. Gino was French speaking. His English was broken at the beginning, and of course when Pavel arrived, he didn't speak any English. So I think they worked on it, and then Pavel, realizing what Gino meant to him, took him under his wing, and they did everything together. They went everywhere. Gino was right beside Pavel. Pavel, created himself as a superstar within the league, and Pavel and Gino was there to protect him at all costs, no matter if it was on the street, out for dinner somewhere or out on the ice.
One of the amazing things about Gino is that he seemed to walk effortlessly in every circle, whether that was with hereditary chiefs, NHL superstars, NHL franchise owners, but also just how accessible and how easygoing he was with the public.
Yeah.
Kirk, can you talk to us a little bit about that? Just the way he had with people, because it was very special.
Exactly. Bang on. Gino was a very smart human being, and he did a lot of homework of wherever he was going to go and who he was going to be with, and he was the type of he was bigger than life. I mean, he walked into a room. He's a big dude, so he turned heads right off the bat. But as soon as somebody shook his hand and he looked you in the face and said hello, he made you feel at ease. And once in a while he would throw a little humor jab at whoever it was just to break the ice, and I think that's what everybody loved about him. They saw this fierce competitor out on the ice, but then when they met Gino away from the playing surface or the arena, a complete different guy. Just a big old teddy bear at the end of the day, and very proud of his community and his heritage and his background, and extremely up to date with what was going on and is going on with the indigenous community, and he took a lot of pride in that, and we saw that on a daily basis.
I certainly saw that in retirement, behind closed doors in the dressing room. I mean, I think we're headed in the right direction as a society now in terms of truth and reconciliation and all that sort of thing. But I mean, that was not a great file for us as early as the 90s, or as recently as the 90s. Did he talk about that sort of stuff with you guys in the room?
Not much, and no. I'm not going to lie to you. Until I saw a lot of these clips, I was unaware that he wore the number 29 because of his dad and the residential school. And the number he was given, I didn't know that, so that kind of hit me pretty good right in the heart, and that goes to show you that's what Gino is all about, right? I mean, he's a leader. He was a leader in his community. He was a leader for us too. He didn't have a letter on his sweater, but guys looked up to him and appreciated what he did, and if he wasn't gonna go out there and score us a big goal, he sure as hell was going to go get a big hit or stick his nose in there and do something that he knew what he had to do to raise the level of the rest of us, and that's what leaders do.
We lost him way too soon, but at the same time, it feels like we got some bonus years out of him as well, because it didn't look great with the initial diagnosis. Tell us about when he first got sick. It didn't look great, obviously.
Yeah, we sure did get some bonus years out of him. Was it 2014? I think we were discussing, and remember when it happened, and Yerke and I went in very early, and he was asleep, so we didn't get a chance to talk to him. We just kind of sat with him for a bit and obviously tried to give him some really good vibes, and then the next day, things were still what they were, and a group of us, about I think 15 or 20 of us within that week, got together, and we were literally going to say our last respects and our goodbyes, because it didn't look good, and having week later he's out waving to the crowd and doing a media conference, and he looked great, and 8 years later after that he fought, and he was working on, I don't know, maybe 35% heart. His heart was left working, whatever it may be. Anyways, it was something that he never really talked about or complained about. He never showed any kind of quit. That was him. He was determined to continue on, and he accepted what he had, and lived life to the fullest right until the other night. That's tough thing. I can only imagine his good friend Peter Leach, who was just an incredible human and friend for Gino over these past years, and became very close with our alumni. Having to go through what he did the other day, watching his best friend, pass away.
Lastly, Kirk, how will you remember him? How should he be remembered by Canucks fans in British Columbia?
Well, I'm going to remember him obviously as a wonderful teammate, arguably, the best. But I just loved him for what he was as a man, and how gentle he was, and how caring he was for, not just for his teammates, but his community, his Indigenous community, but the community of BC. He was he bled the colors of the Vancouver Canucks, as we all know. He wore his heart in his sleeve. We saw that on the ice. He gave it his all, and he gave it his all right to the very end.
Thank you, my friend. Condolences again.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kirk.